Nintendo Switch Sports has quickly proven to be one of the best multiplayer and especially one of the best online experiences the Switch has to offer. The game is just fun, bringing together some classics from past titles in the Wii Sports series, as well as introducing a few more sports to the fold. We know that this fall golf will be added to the game, bringing yet another favorite from the original titles, and data mines have hinted that basketball will be returning from Wii Sports Resort, and dodgeball will be added to the series for the first time. But is that it? Are those really the only additional games we'll be getting for Nintendo Switch Sports? Honestly, who's to say? In all likelihood, yes, we'll probably see a little bit of content added over the next year, and that'll be it. But Nintendo has extended post-launch content before, so if more sports were to be added, here is my Nintendo Switch Sports wishlist. And first on the list is baseball. One of the original sports featured in Wii Sports, baseball is a fun game, and one of the ones I spent the most time playing in that first title. And thinking about it exclusively from the gameplay perspective, baseball is an interesting one to include in that it's an asymmetrical game. While the other sports featured have both players doing the same thing at the same time, or taking turns doing the exact same thing, baseball is played in two phases, with players switching between pitching and hitting. It's also much simpler than newer sports like soccer and chambara, with players only needing to make the simple motions of pitching or hitting the ball without having to remember any button combinations or special moves. To me, this is how the Wii Sports series should be, at its core, emulating the games as simply as possible so that anyone can pick up and play without having to go through a tutorial. As the player, you don't control the players in the field, everything is automatic. It's just simple fun, and hitting a home run is one of the most satisfying things in the entire series. And to follow up with that, boxing. The fifth and final game from the original Wii Sports, boxing is another simple pick-up-and-play type of game. When the Switch was initially revealed, I had one thing in mind when I saw how the controllers worked, and that was boxing. The disconnected controllers working in tandem lend themselves to a motion-controlled boxing game extremely well. The motion controls of the Switch are heavily improved from that of the Wii, which already had some fantastic implementations of the sport, whether it was in Wii Sports itself or in Punch-Out!, both of which are up there as some of the best games in the console's lineup. Well, instead of either of those, we got this. And I'll admit, ARMS is fine. It works for what it set out to do. It gave us some great characters and fantastic music. I personally just couldn't get excited about the gameplay. It just, to me, felt kind of off. I'd love to see traditional boxing on the Nintendo Switch, and to have the sport join the Nintendo Switch Sports lineup would be absolutely great. And next up is the final returning sport I'll be talking about today, jet skiing, this time from Wii Sports Resort. And hold up, when I was researching the video, I found it's not jet skiing in the game, it's power cruising? Why? Is there some sort of distinction between the two? No? I don't get it, but whatever. Anyways, I never really played much of Wii Sports Resort. I didn't own the game, I only ever played it during a Christmas party hosted by one of my dad's friends. So I don't really have any insights into how the game is played or how it could improve. But it does seem like a fun sport to include, and it's definitely unique compared to anything offered in Nintendo Switch Sports at the time, and could even include Nintendo Labo support. That's still relevant, right? But in all seriousness, including power cruising here would also harken back to one of Nintendo's long-forgotten series, Wave Race. Nintendo seems to have been on a revival streak recently, bringing us Wii Sports, Famicom Detective Club, Metroid, WarioWare, Advance Wars, and even more. And seeing a reference to another oft-forgotten series in Nintendo's portfolio would be absolutely fantastic. Now that that's it with returning games, from this point forward, I'll only be talking about the games that haven't been featured yet in the Wii Sports series, and to kick that off is hockey. When I was a kid and Wii Sports Resort came out, I thought it would also be a good idea to release a winter-themed version of the game with sports like skiing, snowboarding, and of course, hockey. I have never been good at any version of hockey I've ever played, whether it's an officially licensed NHL game, or if it's a Mario and Sonic minigame, or even and especially the real deal. But at the same time, hockey is my favorite sport to watch. I'd love to see how Nintendo could simplify the game for Nintendo Switch Sports, most likely with a hybrid control scheme like soccer. But regardless of how it's done, I would love to see this classic sport join the lineup. And if it were to be included, here's hoping that Nintendo would also implement a fighting mechanic. And next up, by far the simplest title on the list, fishing. It's already included in Clubhouse games, and so many games feature a fishing minigame. But you know, fishing minigames are just really fun. It's relaxing just to have a bit of patience for an epic battle against a creature you can't see, only to find out it was just a tiny little minnow. Whether it's competitive to see who can catch more fish, or it's just a relaxing little minigame to have a fun time, fishing would be an absolutely great time in Nintendo Switch Sports. Next on the list, maybe my favorite idea, actually probably not, but an idea I'd really love to see implemented, go-karting. Nothing will ever beat the thrill of Mario Kart, the zany tracks, the crazy upsets that an item can cause, but to have simple go-karting on Nintendo Switch Sports with a bit more of a focus on tight turns and speed management would be a great inclusion. It wouldn't be as simple a game as most of the others featured, but it sure would lend to a good time, with players having to ensure that they can keep their lead because one simple mistake could end the game for them. And the last title I want to talk about, probably the one I want to see the most, is mini golf. Now wait, Reggie, you might be asking, we're already getting golf this fall, and you're absolutely right. Golf is coming to Nintendo Switch Sports, but including mini golf would be extremely fun as well. Rather than aiming at a hole hundreds of yards away, you'd be spending the entire game putting, trying to avoid some zany obstacles, and try to line up your shots to get a hole-in-one. Nintendo Switch Sports could deliver some fantastic mini golf courses, whether they reference other Nintendo titles like Mario and Zelda, or just give us generic themes like adventure, or dinosaur, or underwater. Regardless, I think there are endless possibilities to provide exciting courses and give us fun obstacles to try and avoid. Mini golf is by far my favorite outdoor activity. I'm not the best, but for me, it's just real simple fun. So, I'd love to see it added to the lineup. And hey, with golf already on the way, the engine already exists. So, who knows? It could even show up as a second mode this fall. But anyways, those are just a few of the sports that I would like to see implemented in Nintendo Switch Sports if post-launch content continues past the sports we already know we're getting. But what sports would you like to see? Let me know down in the comments. And if you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all next time.